Hi fourth graders. Sorry I'm missing you guys today. I'm in the Big Island with the fifth graders. I made this little video to give you guys some tips for your printmaking today. Hope you guys have a good time and I will see you next week.
All right, fourth graders, we're going to talk about how to make some reduction prints today. So a reduction print is when you reduce or take away part of your printing plate to add like a different layer and often with a different color to your design or more details. So we are going to reduce our printing plate, which means change it permanently so that we can add over the top of our printed design. Now, once we do this, we can't go back. So we need to make sure that we have done as many prints as we want of just our plate the way that it was when we first printed. So if you need to make some more prints, you have to do that first before you reduce the plate. So the first method is we are going to take our printing plate and we're going to use a dull pencil to add some more details or reduce or carve away some parts of our plate. So lots of times, like, well, this has a hat and most of yours doesn't, but lots of times kids want to add more texture into their hair. So I'm just using my pencil to draw in some different parts that I haven't drawn before. So I'm just adding some other details in the hair. This one has a hat, so I think I'll just add a little bit of detail, a little bit of texture inside this hat here. Okay, so I'm just adding some of these. A lot of people want to add or reduce or take away things in their background. So it might be that you want to add a design. Remember, we don't want to write anything because when we print it, it's going to turn it backwards. So I'm just reducing, or I'm pushing down different places on my printing plate. I want to push really hard so I get those. And then if I wanted to, I could, add some details in my shirt. Okay, so I think I've changed my plate enough, reduced it. I've done some interesting things. I could even add little details in my lips or my eyes if I wanted to. I could go on and on. I could do so many different things and add so many more details, but I think I'm going to be ready. So now that I've reduced my plate, I've changed it. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing that I did when we first printed with my plate. Remember, I have it on that piece of paper. I'm going to ink it up. I'm going to pause the video here and then I'm going to show you how we'll print it. Okay, now I have my plate inked up with my new reduction that I've taken out of it. You're going to be printing this plate onto an existing print that you've already made. It's best if you have a color that's lighter than the color that you have here. So you're working from light and then putting something on top that is dark. So instead of just printing this on a new clean paper, now I have to register my plate, which means line up the plate and the paper so that I can print this exactly. It's going to be really important, otherwise I'm going to end up with a double print. So I need to make sure that I perfectly line this up, and hopefully I'll have it in the right place. So this is why it's really important to be precise. Remember, we do that grandma rub. We're going to use our other brayer to burnish or push down from the back all the sides of it. Okay. I feel like I've done a really good job. It's important that we stick it down first so that it's not going to move. So it's really important with the reduction print that it lines up with the print I did before. Okay, let's see how I did. Okay, so now I can see that anywhere where I reduce the plate, I can see through that first color, and then everywhere else it lines up exactly so I don't see any more of that orange. So you can see where I added the details here, all of my details in my background, the details onto my shirt, and then adding some of the details in the lips. So anything that I push away is going to expose the color that I started with underneath. I can tell that I wasn't quite lined up there, but pretty good. If you don't line it up exactly, you're going to get something that looks kind of like a double image, like blurry vision. Method 2 for reduction is when I'm actually going to cut away a piece that I want to change its color. So I have a print here that I've already made, so I have to have all my prints made first. I have my clean plate. So this method works best if you have different shapes that are easy to cut away. For example, I could cut out just the background. With this one here, I think I'm going to cut out my hair. Now remember, you can't go back and change this afterwards. So you need to make sure you know what you're going to be cutting out beforehand. So I guess I could cut out the background. In fact, let's just do that because it's easiest. So I think for a lot of you that would be the easiest part to cut away. So I'm getting rid of the background space. I'm reducing that. I could then use my face, or I could use the background as the thing that I want to reduce. So now I have two different pieces here, and on my plate I could decide that I want to make this a different color, or I could decide that I want to make this a different color. So the process is similar. I'm going to ink up this piece, and the only difference is instead of having the plate and laying the paper on top, I'm actually going to put the paper on here and then ink this piece and put it over the top. So I'm going to pause and try to do that, and we'll see how it turns out. Okay, I've inked up my piece, and I had to check to make sure that I was doing the correct side, because if I were to put it on here and it doesn't match, I would have inked the wrong place. I knew this was the right side because I could see the ink from when I printed before. But like I said, it's different this time because instead of laying down the plate, we're going to put down our print. We're going to take our plate piece, we're going to turn it upside down, and this is where you have to register it and line it up the best you can. Now you're going to do the same thing like you did before with the brayer and clean off or push down this piece. I've got to be really careful with my hands. I can tell my hands aren't clean and I'm getting it onto the edge of my print. Okay, so I think that's good. Pull this up. Okay, so now I have a different color here. I could keep going, and now that I'm kind of in a little bit, I could do another layer. I could cut my hair. Now that I have this piece, I could ink this with an entirely different color, print it, and put it over the top like that to be able to print a different color. I could keep going with different features, but it works best if they are a shape. What I mean by that is this is a shape, a clothesline. This is not a shape, it's just a line. We wouldn't want to cut this out and put it there, it wouldn't work. So you'd have to go piece by piece, cutting out the different pieces you wanted. But this is a good option just to start. You could have either printed this piece, or I could have inked up this and printed this, or even, ooh, this would be fun now that the hair is red, I could turn this a different color, let's say green, and I could print this over the top. Then I'd have a different picture too. So this is method 2 for reducing a plate by cutting it.